Welcome back to the Goddess Collective podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. And today's guest is so special because we get to dive into a side that, I think is not really talked about a lot in the empowerment space and the feminine side of things. Feminine is kind of looked at as this light, airy, kind of sometimes kind of feels like it has some fluff to it. But really, femininity is one of the most empowered energies like to tap into, but there's multiple sides to it, right? So today's guest, Caprisha Richards, she is this like women's empowerment coach, but like she calls herself the CEO healer, but she really helps us dive into our sensuality and connect to these, what she calls unmanifested sides of ourselves. And really, she shows us today in this episode that when we can unravel the different components of who we are and really tap into this energy that's waiting to be awakened, we can become our most expansive, like just juicy selves and just soak in all the goodness of life without honestly having to push and try to do so much to make it happen. We can just have it come to us and receive and sit in that trusting feminine energy that's so good and so yummy and so just like so needed. We need to do more of that. But anyways, I'm so excited to hear what you think of this episode. Here, excited to see how what you take away from it. And also I really love that we not only talked about how to dive into this empowerment, juicy energy that's waiting to be awakened, but we also talk about, those times where you feel anything but empowered, and how to get yourself out of that, how to come out of those really low moments. And she shares some of her story. And, we also talk about things like pole dancing and our journeys with that, and just how we both come into things that have allowed us to just be this energy and these women that we are now to help inspire and change the lives of others. So I can't wait to see what you grasp from this conversation. I really feel like you're going to walk away from this chat with Caprisha and myself feeling empowered and feeling inspired, maybe even having a fire lit under you to do more, to play bigger in your life, and to start asking questions that are going to allow you to move towards being that bigger version of yourself. I know I definitely, left the conversation thinking about, wow, how am I playing small right now? How could I go bigger? How could I step into all of the sides of myself and really allow myself to just go for more and feel safe doing that? So I know you're gonna love this episode. And as always, if you want to connect with the guest, if Caprisha really resonates with you, her links are going to be in the show notes. So definitely check those out. And as always, as well, let me know what you think. Let me know what you learned, grab from this episode. What caught your eye? What did you not think of before until this? Fill me in on what you're grabbing. And, I'll love to hear that from you so I can use that to continue, deepening these conversations in ways that inspire you. So, can't wait to see what you think. So enjoy the episode, and I will see you in the next one. Here we go. Well, hi, Caprisha. It is so nice to have you today. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, me too. I feel like it's been a minute since we've chatted before. For anybody new tuning into the Goddess Collective, we were so fortunate to have Caprisha in our Zoom room back in the day when it was Zoom calls, coming in and sharing what she does. And so it's really been fun to see you evolve even in the last like 6 or so months. And so tell us, if you wouldn't mind, just tell us a little bit about who you are. I know you are like the self-proclaimed CEO healer, but I want to dive into really, what that means, kind of what you do, and just tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yummy. So hi, everyone listening and watching. My name is Caprisha Richards, and I'm a breakthrough sensuality coach. So essentially what I do is I help really powerful women, women who are here to do the unrealistic, women who are here for the unreasonable. They want a over the top life, and they just want to live life like really, really yummy and exactly how it is that they want. And I help them to allow themselves to receive that through stepping more into their dark feminine energy. And that work has just been so incredibly amazing. It's helped hundreds of women to start tapping into a different type of energy. The world that we live in, we have really activated our masculine energy. And so just really helping women to tap into a different element and see like, okay, what else can I do? How can I allow these things to come easier into my life? How can I use my innate gifts and my innate powers to allow deeper love, deeper romance, deeper connection, more money, more abundance? How can I allow those things to actually start coming towards me instead of like, I've got to go out, I've got to go get it, I've got to go hustle, I've got to go take. And it has just completely changed the women's lives that I've worked with. It's changed my life. And so, yeah, that's why I'm really passionate about teaching this work.
Yeah, it's, I love that you talk about the dark feminine because, here the Goddess Collective and just, I think, the stereotypical conversation around being feminine, our feminine empowerment, it's like, it's a little bit more on the, or not a little bit, it's pretty much all on the other aspect of it, which not to label anything good or bad, but I will say your work is something that I don't see represented often. So I want to know how you got into the dark feminine, and can you explain for people that maybe it's new to, can you explain what that is, or just how you kind of got into this side? Because it feels so, it feels almost like a rarity in this empowerment conversation, but it also feels like the secret key that unlocks like all the juiciness and what the real power is,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I started my feminine energy journey about 6 years ago, all of the books and all the things that I was reading and learning, it was more so on the light aspects. So what we would naturally think of when we think about feminine energy, very like light and airy and nice and that kind of thing, which is great. We do need that aspect. But I was finding that I needed to like go deeper. There were some elements of me that I could see needed to be unleashed. And for example, I used to be very, very nice, AKA people pleasing.
Yep. I'm like, oh gosh, I've dealt with this so much of my life.
And, growing up, we're taught that to be like accepted as a woman, you're supposed to be nice and don't be seen before you're heard and all these different things. And so naturally, when I started diving into this work, I didn't even know it was called dark feminine energy. I just knew that I needed to do things like anger release. I wanted to reclaim more of my sensuality. I wanted to reclaim more of like my magnetism and my allure and those sort of things. And then I think later on down the line, I realized it was called dark feminine energy. And so to sum it all up, dark feminine energy is basically called that because it's the pure, unmanifested energy within us. Just like how we're able to create a baby from nothing, that is what dark feminine energy is. So it's just like the pure, real, unadulterated energy of us that lives within us. And that's why we need to tap into it so we can bring the full feminine energy together.
Yeah.
So in order to really like be the full feminine, we have to bring in that dark. We have to explore that element of us as well.
Yeah. And I love that you're saying, it's not that it's like a bad thing. It's just, and it's like, I don't want to say shadow side either, but it's almost like this, like you said, this undiscovered component of us. So I'm wondering, when you say it's unmanifested, can you touch on what you mean by that? And then any key tips you can give us to like dive into that, like an intro of like, how would you manifest it in your life or bring it more to the surface and create this relationship with this complete other side of us that most of us are forgetting and not even tapping into?
Yeah. So what this looks like for most women, it's relearning how to be the bad girl again. That's typically the thing that we've most repressed in our lives. I know for a lot of my clients, they have grown up doing things how they were supposed to do it. They get good grades in school and they get into a really good college and they get a really good job and they're doing everything that they're supposed to do. yet they're feeling as though, oh my gosh, there's this other side of me that I feel like I can't tap into it because it's not me. I'm not supposed to. That's not professional. That's not whatever the case is. So an easy way, I guess, to tap into your dark feminine would be reclaiming that bad girl, doing things that people would never expect you to do. If people would never expect you to take a pole class, go take a pole class. If people
Yes.
would never expect you to just go outside in the rain and run around and jump around and be wild, you go do that.
Oh,
So
I love that.
these elements of you that you have shut off and you're like, no, that's not me. I'm not allowed to do that. Now you are.
Yeah, I
And
love
that is
that.
how it manifests. Yeah.
Okay, that's so good. You know, it's so interesting. I was actually going to ask you about pole dancing because I was like, I don't even know if she knows we have this connection because like years ago, almost like over 4 years ago now or something, I was going through a really like one of the hardest breakups I'd ever been in my life. And I know that sounds really dramatic, but it was like this thing that broke me open into my personal development world. And I was literally like on the ground, like in the biggest victim mindset I had ever found myself in. But it was at the same time, I was like, after about an hour of sitting there, I was like, ooh, I don't want to be in this anymore. I don't want to be in this. I was like, how can I get myself out? And I found this little list of like exciting things I wanted to try. Because I'd always done dance in my life and I had forgot that I put pole dance at the top of the list. And I was thinking it was just like any other studio class you go to where you can just show up, you know, like 15 minutes early, go to the thing, take your class and like feel really good. But I didn't know you had to like prep and plan like 2 weeks in advance to get into a class. So this is how meant to be it was, is like I go to this studio thinking that, but they're like, you have to sign up for like a 6-week package to start. I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, we haven't have one spot left in our series. Like, do you want it? We also have a Groupon code. Randomly, we can give you half off. I was like, well, I was only coming in for one session, but I guess I'm in for 6 weeks now. And 6 weeks turn into 3+ years of something that and honestly changed my life. I think it was one of the things that started my own empowerment journey because I really got my body involved in the process and realized how much had just been like stuck within me, you know, and I don't care what was going on in my world that day. If I took a pole class, I walked out a completely different woman and I was unstoppable. I was like, you can't tell me no, like, you can't tell me I'm not great, like, no matter what, you know? And so I try to sprinkle that into my life every now and then whenever I like think to do it. But man, you know, I do notice that the sense of empowerment can feel like it doesn't feel as strong sometimes until I do that. So tell us about your journey. Like, have you been in pole dance for a long time or, you know, what, because I see on your Instagram, you do pole or do you own a studio or do you run classes? Like, okay, I could go on, but like, tell us about your pole journey.
Okay.
I'm so passionate
Oh my
about this.
gosh. Yeah. Now that you bring up pole dancing, I would say that's when the dark feminine stuff started coming in because I got my body involved. But
Yeah.
yeah, 4 years ago, one of this girl that I used to look up to on Instagram, she was also from my hometown. She was this amazing, beautiful pole dancer. And I'm like, oh my God, this girl is so ethereal. Like, whew. She was moving back home and she was going to be doing like a workshop or something. I said, oh, hell no, I'm there. So I messaged her. I'm like, send me the link. Let's go. I'm ready to sign up.
Yeah.
I took that one class and I said, oh my gosh, there is something here. And I didn't take the class to like, you know, get sexier and or to master anything. I just wanted to like try it. There was this calling towards it. And so I think I took 2 classes that day, actually.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. I love this. Number one, I really love that I got to be a beginner again. And I think that was another big thing that helped me to really sink into that feminine was because I was just like a virgin again, like just this newbie, like, you teach me, I don't know anything. You teach me, and just being like open again.
Yeah. This pressure is like taken off, right? It's like, oh, I'm not supposed to be perfect right now. I get to sink into this receiving of trying something new, being in this new environment, receiving their love and support.
Yes.
That.
Yes. So, learning how to pole dance, I could actually see how I was so in my head. And the more that I learned, I started seeing myself getting less out of my head and more into my body. So it was a very like visual experience that I could, okay, Caprisha, in your head, because you're trying to learn this thing.
Yeah.
So pole dancing really kind of like sped up this journey, especially getting into like my sensuality. Because to be sensual, you're not supposed to be in your head. It's being connected to all of your senses. So I would say that definitely catapulted the journey. Absolutely.
That light bulb, you know how you hear things sometimes multiple times and then somebody else says it and it clicks? And that just happened when you said it's supposed to be sensual, involves all of your senses. Oh my God, sometimes if you ever just want to understand a word deeper, really break it down and say, okay, what is this word actually about? And that's literally what you just did for me. It's like, oh, okay, duh. Sensual, it's supposed to involve your senses. That's how you can become more sensual. Love that so much. So I don't know if there's anything else on that you wanted to share.
Girl, I could talk for years about pole dancing.
Same. Maybe we'll have you back again and we'll do a whole thing just on pole. I'm telling you, I'm bringing in-person events, and there's going to be elements of boudoir and all kinds of things. So just get ready. So
what I will say to finish up the whole thing, I really learned how to become a student of that, and eventually I got the opportunity to be a pole instructor at the studio. And from that, I created my own personal workshops, a part of my coaching business. And they were called Sensuality Flow workshops. And it was such a hit. Every single workshop was sold out. And it was just a way for women to just get a taste into like, okay, what does it mean to be sensual? Not like, okay, I'm here to like take a pole class and learn how to do the moves, but okay, how do I slow down? That's really what I was focusing on in the workshops. And the women to this day, they're like, when is the next one? Let's go. We're ready.
Yeah. Oh, it's powerful. And you can just tell that's what women are craving, is this permission slip almost that nobody actually needs, but it makes you feel safe, right? To just pause and be okay in that pause and not, be worried in the pause, but just accept where you are. And I think that is really in line with what you're talking about, of just like, that is the true feminine power of just trusting in that slowdown and knowing you're safe and that everything is still going to show up. So I want to just back up a little bit even more and I just want to understand your journey a bit with how you got to be this, like, obviously you found pole. There's been a lot, I'm sure, other than that has helped you dive into being a very empowered, strong, feminine woman. But what was a mindset that you had to shift to get here? And how was there like a specific instance that created that mindset shift, or was it just kind of a process over time that evolved?
You know what's interesting? I think intimate relationships is what sparked this. Because I was starting to see how me being in relationships and what I was attracting, I was starting to connect that, me being this, like, I've got it in control, I'm independent, that kind of energy, that's attracting something that I don't necessarily want. So I think that kind of started my curiosity, and just realizing how people were engaging with me, and just like I could feel this, like, there's something here. Like, there's something about me that is a little closed off, that's not allowing other people to fully open up. And so, just like witnessing all of that really guided my curiosity to, what is it inside that I can explore? Because you can feel it. You can feel it for yourself. Like there's something that I need to dive deeper into, dig into. I can feel the wall. I don't know why it's there. How do I get past it?
What I love about this too is that it's not even just saying that anything outside of your control is allowing you to like show up differently. It's all within you. So it sounds like maybe even without realizing it in that moment, you're almost just saying, how do I take full responsibility, like radical responsibility, and understand that everything is mirror of the energy that I'm projecting outwards. I almost think that if the world just started asking them that question and trusting that like everything's their mirror, the world would change. I really believe that. And feel free to add anything to that. But I'm also curious for you, what are some words that you live by to just stay in that remembering of that truth, right? That we are, everything's our mirror.
Good question.
I'm totally on the spot. So
Okay. I don't think there's a specific word that I live by. It's just certain reminders that I have in my head. I think one sort of concept is that God, universe, whomever, there's no coincidences, there's no accidents. So whatever it is that I am experiencing in this moment, it's for a reason. So how can we open up the book and figure out, okay, what are you trying to tell me here? What do I need to know? And just becoming a student of life instead of like, why is this happening to me? And oh my gosh, this is the worst time. And I think being in those spaces where you're actually being challenged, that is the best time to really practice that.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. I would say probably like, and like you're saying, like life school, like we're just here to expand. So allowing every single opportunity to be a lesson of expansion and asking like, how is this here to serve me? Because then it does help like get through those really troubling moments so much faster, right? Because we're guaranteed to experience them. That's just part of life. But the more gracefully you can just accept and like move through, the easier it'll be. But obviously it's a process, right? It's not always just going to be like, okay, cool. I know the tools. I know what I'm supposed to do. I've been taking the pole classes. Like I got this. And then something devastating happens. And then you're mad at yourself. It's like, man, I should have been more graceful. Like, why am I mad at this? It's like, no, calm down. And so I would love to know, for those moments where I'm sure, gone through it, you're going through it and you're able to like pull yourself out. For the women that are going through it right now, or just feel like they keep getting these same loops, what advice would you give them, or any tips would you give them to just like take those steps and just pull themselves into that more empowered place, maybe even faster?
Ooh. What I will say is I have been there. And I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to, it's one thing to say, yeah, I trust in the universe. But when your back is really against the wall and you feel like, how am I going to get myself out of this? I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not seeing it. And you can have faith as much as possible. You can trust as much as possible, but shit gets real. Shit gets real sometimes. So some of the things that I remind myself of is number one, I wonder why this is happening. Oh my gosh. Ooh, okay. All right, God, you want me to have like a really over the top delicious life? Okay, I see you. I see you. Okay.
I felt that. I really felt that.
Sometimes it can feel like, damn, I'm doing all the things. I'm trying all the things. God, can you not see me here? And how can you see that, oh my gosh, you want me to go bigger? Oh my gosh, that's why you won't let me open up these doors. because you're trying to get me to go somewhere else, somewhere where I'm actually supposed to be going.
Mm.
And it's tough, because let me tell you, I am a very stubborn, like, nope, this is gonna work. This has to work. This is gonna work. And what I have been realizing is the more that I just say, you know what? Okay, all right. Not a sense of I give up, but okay. God, what do you need me to do, say, or be in this moment? And whatever comes through, I allow it. So that's, and another thing I will say, which has been a huge learning opportunity for me in my life, is learning how to lean on those in your life. Learning how to ask for support, especially as, like, you know, independent, high achieving, high performing women. You know, a lot of us are the people that others come to in our lives. Being able to say, you know what, I am not okay. And going and leaning on those people who can support you. That has been a big thing for me.
That is massive, because I imagine that would be one of the key things that maybe, and tell me if I'm wrong, or if we can chat about if there's another avenue, but I imagine that's probably one of the biggest things that women come to you as seeking help with, right? Is that feeling safe instead of weak around asking for help. I know in my own personal journey, the moment I realized I didn't have to do everything on my own is the moment that my journey started expediting and exponential growth started showing up. But it wasn't until I just released the hold, like I released the need to just hold on and say, I know how to run this. So obviously I didn't, right? Otherwise I wouldn't be in that like struggle place. So yeah, I really love that you bring that up. And let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how do you help women? Like, just a couple key things. Stop feeling weak in that asking for help, and seeing that as actually a strength. I imagine if you do it in a way that's empowering.
I think it goes with our conditioning. We've been taught that, relying on others is weak. So get it together, pull yourself together, and let's go. I think there's only so much that you can do. There's only so much of that you can do. And what I have realized is the women that come to me, they've kind of come to that conclusion on their own. I don't need to convince them that, come on, let me help you. They're already at that place where they're like, I am willing to allow help in. So I think it's something that people have to come to, where they're like, all right, I'm done. I'm not doing this on my own. Send help.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So that right there too, for any women that are watching that have businesses or are, leveling up in their life. What I love right there is that you didn't just say, well, I'm trying to help everybody. I can help everybody in my work. You've got clear boundaries. And that's one thing I remember when I first met you, I was like, this woman's energy. I was like, she is a force and she freaking knows her worth. Like I don't even know if you said anything yet. And I could just feel it immensely. I was like, this woman's incredible. And I can just tell she knows her boundaries. She knows what she wants, what she will accept, and absolutely what she will not. That was like the vibe I got. So talk to us about boundaries a little bit, like maybe some of yours that you stick by in your business, how you go about developing your boundaries, anything that you just don't stand for that you feel comfortable sharing, obviously.
Yeah. So something that I focus a lot on with my clients is learning the difference between talking about boundaries and then actually having energetic boundaries. When you believe in your own boundaries, you won't have to say much. And in my life, when I used to have to talk about my boundaries and you crossed my boundaries and I don't like that you did this, especially in relationships, when I took a step back, I realized wait a minute, I don't even respect myself. I go against my words all the time. I don't respect myself. So how can I expect other people, especially in relationships, to respect me?
Mm.
So number one, it's getting real and honest with yourself about where you need to like clean up your own BS.
Yeah.
And once you do that, that's when you feel grounded in your own boundaries, and there won't be much that you'll have to say.
Mm. That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. Yeah, that's, something I tell my clients all the time is like, if they're feeling frustrated because the level of client they want is not coming to them, I always ask them, well, how are you representing those same qualities that you're getting from them? How are you being that yourself? And that's where we were talking about before, right? That radical responsibility, but just coming into the real truth and facing yourself. And sometimes it's hard, it's usually more hard than it's not, but that's the work, right?
And also not looking at boundaries as this is it. If you cross the line, you're done. That's how I used to view boundaries. And that feels like there's a wall.
Mm.
The way how I look at boundaries now is there can be a conversation. There can be an exchange. We can talk about it. And there's room to like, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. Maybe I can tweak it here a little bit. Maybe I can tweak that there a little bit. But just running it through your own body first and seeing how it feels.
Mm.
In the case of, in your business, let's say, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something here. Let's say you only have one payment plan and you're on the call with someone and they're like, please, can I just have an extended payment plan? Run it through your own body first. This is something that I do personally, not saying everyone has to do it, but this has worked for me. Just feeling how it feels in my own body first and saying, you know what? Yeah, I'm open to that. Let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I think that's so important, is to just have your boundaries, but don't be, like you're saying, don't be so rigid to where they just can't, like, it can never bend, right? Because then that makes like you stressed. If you ever, as you grow, as you change, your boundaries, your rules are going to probably expand and grow and change because your perspective is different. And so I imagine if you're in this place of growth and you want to kind of make some shifts, there's almost going to be this like really tough resistance period that someone might go through the moment they want to change, because they've been so rigid in their rules with themselves before that suddenly they're like feeling like they're going against themselves, when really it's just trying to expand and change with them. So I like that, starting with that foundation of just saying, okay, well, here's actually what the term boundaries means for me, and like really defining that for yourself, whatever that is for you. I love that. And then another thing I wanted to point out is, obviously, I know we talked about pole. You do, you dive into, that for yourself and connect with your body. But maybe for others that are like, well, that's cool, but that's just not going to be for me. Are there other ways that you would recommend them getting in touch with their body, allowing them to really have that sense of knowing how to read their body when, like you were saying, I ask my body first. I really connect and feel what feels right for me. Because obviously being in touch with the body has to be like, it has to be an element that is considered as your decision making as you're moving about your life. So you always have to build this relationship with it too. You can't just can't just forget about it. So what are other ways that you kind of get in touch with your body, maybe besides pole, or would recommend for others who don't want to necessarily go in that world, even though it's so worth trying?
It is so much fun. Okay, before I dive into this, what I will say is, yes, okay, pole dancing and all the things that I will recommend here in a second, they are fun. And the way how you truly connect to your body is allowing yourself to somatically experience those emotions, the anger, the sadness, all of that, allowing yourself to actually experience that and get it out of your body.
Mm.
So one of the biggest practices that I do with my clients is an anger release exercise. And it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because we don't really want to, like, I don't want to look at that. Like, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to but what I will say is, when I personally did anger release, I had to do it two days in a row. after I did that, I felt such an opening and a connection to myself that I've never felt before. And that is what allowed the pole dancing to come in, and some other things that I have my clients do is mirror gazing, looking at themselves and literally going one body part per song. So songs are like 3 minutes.
Wow.
I'm focusing on my head for that full 3 minutes, observing every crevice, every eyelash. Oh my gosh, look at my ear, literally slowing it down.
Wow.
I will say, in order for that to like really penetrate you, you must do this like the somatic releasing in your body.
Yeah, that's so true. You know, something that I share all the time is like when we go through our life, we're not just having, you know, an experience here. Yes, we are, right? We're seeing seeing things, taking in perspectives and ideas, but we forget that we're also having an experience here. Our bodies at the same time, like all over, are experiencing different emotions. So over time, if you're only doing things like talk therapy, if you're only doing things like, you know, like just, yeah, speaking your truth, but you're completely forgetting to just free your body, then imagine over the years how much is stuck there. And imagine how much disease and issues like physically arise from just suppressing things down like emotions. So what you're saying is so powerful, and it can almost seem like it's something that people just kind of brush off as like, oh, like maybe I'll get to that, or like couldn't be that helpful, or maybe it's not that big of a deal. But try it. Seriously, what you're saying. I started doing this thing, like whenever I feel it, I just scream into a pillow.
Yes, girl.
Now I do it when like nobody's around, obviously, like, because I don't want to feel crazy, but I want to feel free to do it when I want to do it. And it really does calm you immensely. So I'm going to try that, the mirror gazing for a body part per song. Wow.
It takes sensuality to a whole new level.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Have you been implementing those practices for like a really long time and seen it like evolve?
You know what's so funny is it's evolved so much that I no longer have to, okay, I've got to do my mirror gazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a part of me now.
Mm-hmm.
The way how I move about my life is just present now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference between when you're still practicing and then when it's sunk so deeply into your body that you're an embodiment of it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. And yeah, I can just tell you are very present. You are full, I can just feel it. You are embodying your practices. And that's why I'm so excited to have you on this here today, because I not only want women to hear how you think, how you move about the world, but just understand see and feel the energy of somebody who is being fully like as they speak, as they believe. You know, it's all in alignment. And if people get nothing else from this conversation, which there's so many nuggets, I can't imagine people aren't like with their journal right now, but like, if you get nothing else from this conversation, realizing that the true power lies in just authentically say everything that you believe. Once it's in alignment, you're freaking unstoppable, right? That right there is the power. So always asking yourself, how can you get into that aligned space? And not judging yourself, you know, for not always being there, but just always having that as the goal to work towards, to become more and more and more of yourself, to where suddenly everything falls off but that. Yeah. And I've started to tap into that more and more myself. And it's a gift. It feels so freeing because you're like, wow, this is enough. I feel complete.
That part, it is enough. It is enough. When all women really truly understand and we start getting behind the fact that our energy is enough, our essence is enough, literally people being in our energy, men just being next to us, we literally give life to other people. We don't have to pay for anyone. We don't have to do all of that stuff. Your energy, your essence is enough.
Yeah, I just, it gives me chills, and it literally makes me emotional, because that right there, it's almost like you just step into this new form of gratitude for the experience. Everything becomes a blessing and a gift. And it takes a while to get to this point. Sometimes it can be expedited, but once you get here, it's like, wow, I don't want to do it any other way. I actually just had this realization last week. It just hit me different. How I was saying, like, sometimes you hear things over and over again, but then the one person says it and it's like, you've never heard it before. Well, last week I had this moment of, we're talking about alignment right now. I was talking to one of my coaches, and he was introducing me into the idea, like reintroducing me to the idea of this idea of how, I was saying before, like, oh, like, I just want to get everything in the flow. I was saying in the flow. I was like, once everything's in the flow, everything's good. He's like, well, what if I said you are the flow? And I was like shook. I was like started, like my entire body started lighting up. I was like, oh my gosh, I am the flow. We are all the flow. Money, happiness, relationships, friendship, like whatever you want is in your flow, and you are in charge of that flow. And so whenever we're not in joy or in the moment, you're creating that block. So instead of seeing the flow as something outside of yourself, see it as actually like linear this way. Mm-hmm. And seeing it as like, okay, like, am I in flow or have I stopped things? Because it just clicked with me. I was like, whoa, I was seeing the flow outside of myself. But the moment I realized I am the flow, and that's why coaches are so powerful, right? Is because they can mirror back to you your thoughts and perspectives in a way that you weren't thinking about it before. And it shifts everything. That conversation, I was like, okay, so that was literally all my money's worth, literally in 2 seconds. Changed my life. But yeah, so I'm kind of going off script here, but I'm just wondering if you had that moment too with something where it shifted you, like if there was something that you remember somebody saying, but they said it in a different way, where you were like, whoa, my entire world just shifted in that one sentence.
Yeah, it happened, I think last week. When I was in college, I used to be a volleyball athlete. Mm-hmm. And my coach always used to tell me, she would say, Caprisha, get out of your own way. You're in your own way. Get out of your own way. And it always stuck with me. And I thought I understood it until last week. One of my mentors, he said it on a call. He said, your mission here is not about you. So whatever you're being guided to do, it has nothing to do with you. Just go with it. You're just essentially saying like, you're just the messenger. Get out the damn way.
Yeah.
And it just like, it like clicked again, like, oh my gosh, here it is again. Get out of the way. And I think it hit a little bit different this time, because it was just like, not get out of my own way, but get out of the way, period.
No way, yeah.
Because you're just the messenger for whomever's lives you're supposed to touch. Your purpose, your mission, whatever, here on this, in your lifetime here. So get out of the damn way. You'll be okay. I got you. I just need you to get out of the way right now while I work my magic.
Yeah. And some ways of being in the way, right, are playing small, not stepping into your full potential, being afraid to speak because of being afraid how people are judging. Well, I'm sorry, but when you want to step into the full version of yourself, oftentimes you're a leader, which means you're doing things first, which means you've got to be comfortable being uncomfortable so that you can be seen and be heard. So getting yourself okay with being seen and being heard. And definitely let us know other ways that maybe you feel like maybe you are in your own way, or other people you see, like your clients, are in their own way. Would love to tap into that before I ask our last couple questions.
Oh, girl, let me tell you.
Yeah, the juicy stuff.
One of the biggest ways that I used to get in my own way was definitely perfectionism and being afraid to like speak my full truth, the full thing. So I would be there like 65%, and people would be like, yeah, you're so in your power. But I could feel that I wasn't saying the fullness of what I wanted to say. Yeah. I was just creating space for this happy, bubbly side, but I wasn't allowing the space for the call it out. This is what it is. Activate.
Yeah.
Like really, truly activate. And I will say, like, in these last couple of months, I've really been allowing that, and it's been uncomfortable. It's been uncomfortable because to your body, there's some level of safety as to why you haven't been doing that. And there was a reason why I wasn't doing that, right? Unconsciously. So it feels uncomfortable when you're first doing it.
Yeah.
But nothing beats you feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm being me. I'm being fully me. And if nothing else, I will take that.
Oh, isn't that interesting how it can feel uncomfortable, but simultaneously at the same time, so relaxing, like a weight has lifted off because you're like, I'm finally being me. Like I just say what I want to say, but at the same time, there's this fear popping up because it's new. It's a little bit unknown, and it's almost like you put your hands here and then you took them off, and you're like trying to figure out where to land them.
Yes.
So it's a little bit on that floating, like you're like trying to find the landing pad, but realizing like you are your landing pad. So you've always been safe since the moment you let go, you were there, but it's just leaning in that. I heard not too long ago, one of my mentors, he had said, when you start stepping into your authenticity and who you're supposed to be, what happens is you step out of playing the game to be liked, and you step into the game to be loved. And now the liked game, we're all playing that, right? Because especially if you're in a service-based industry, because you're not out there to hurt and offend people. You're trying to bring people together. You want to help. You're a heart-based person, pretty much for the most part, if your goals are to help. But you're only saying something when you move into the love game. And the problem with that is the polarization that occurs. Right? Because the moment you step into the love game, you're also stepping into the you're going to be hated game, because you're actually saying something. So that means not everybody's going to agree with you. So you got to just go in knowing that that's part of it, and probably why it feels a little bit uncomfortable, because now you're hearing from people who also have an opinion about what you have to say. We've got to lead with that, your heart first, and trust that you're in that love space for a reason too. And so that's the most important place to be. And you only get there when you do the work. Like what you help people get through and what I help people get through is coming more into that space. So, so powerful. Oh my gosh.
Period. You just dropped like 2 or 3 golden nuggets in that little thing. Yes.
Well, I'm telling you, this is why mentors are so huge and have allowed both, I'm sure, for yourself and myself to even be in the places that we are, is because it expedites your growth. It helps you see things. It helps click the things that have been maybe you heard forever ago, but that was more of like a planting of a seed. And then it bloomed when it was supposed to, when you were in more of that aligned place. So so I totally received that. And this has been so fun. So what's next for you? What are you creating right now? Plug away. What are you creating? What's next?
Oh my gosh, so exciting. I'm actually in the midst of creating a membership. It's going to be open April 1st. I'm really excited. It's going to be a really awesome and exclusive and accessible way for people to dive into this dark feminine work. And so I'm so excited. We already have a couple people that are in and they're ready to go. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And you said that starts April 1st?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I cannot wait. We're going to make sure that we have your links in the show notes. So everybody, if you want to check that out, make sure you just check out the info here. Otherwise, where else can we reach you in the meantime? What's the best platforms to connect with you?
You know what? I will say, I love TikTok. You can find me. It's Caprivana with 2 A's at the end. And you can also find me on Instagram at Caprivana with 2 A's at the end.
Oh, awesome. Well, that'll also be linked. But so fun. I've been trying to get into the TikTok game, but for some reason, I think I'm more like the Instagram, but I do enjoy watching TikToks. And I've learned a lot on TikTok. It's been super educational, depending on who you fill your newsfeed with, right? It can be whatever you want it to be. But
But yeah, okay, awesome. Well, thank you again so much for joining the Goddess Collective. This was beautiful. And really, I mean, I'm gonna rewatch it because I feel like there was so much from you to gain that I need to unfold. It's gonna unfold in layers. I already know. So I'm gonna watch it a few times. So thank you again. And we will see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.